Hey, everybody. Is it really possible to increase our creativity and imagination in both photography and photo art? Some people think that they can't. They say, I'm not a very imaginative type person. Well, I don't believe that. You can develop that, and we're going to talk about that right now. So if you're ready, let's do it. Okay, everybody, this is something I get asked quite often, and that is, where do you get this imagination and creativity from? And I had to think about that for a while, so I'm going to share some ideas, what I do, and all of a sudden I start thinking a little bit different when I start grabbing that camera and start to use it. So as an example, we're going to take a look at this image right here. I was actually doing some behind-the-scenes shooting at an event, so I wasn't really there to shoot the different models. It was actually like an avant-garde type of high-end fashion shoot. And I would just occasionally jump in. In fact, I think the entire day I took maybe about 22 shots total. So anyhow, I saw this model here, and I just jumped in. I took a couple shots really quick. One was just to get my exposure right, and then this was the second shot. Now, if you notice the lighting where it's coming from on the left-hand side, there's actually a scrim above her head, because once in a while the sun would peek out. And I just caught it when the sun came out, took the shot, I walked away. And I envisioned something in my mind, and this was what I actually created, something like this. And again, how did that come to my mind? Well, I'll share some ideas with you in a few minutes, but here's another shot of another model. And I apologize, I forgot the name of the photographer that actually brought this little crystal orb or whatever, but I had her look at it and just say, start to scream at it. And I just took the shot because in my mind, I had this idea of doing something like this. And again, adding some imagination and creativity, producing some artwork right there. And then another one, I don't recommend you doing this. I was really pushing myself. But if you take a look at the background, it's fall here in Michigan, and there are a lot of leaves back there. And trying to cut out a subject with that busy background and stuff was pretty challenging. But, if I knew I was going to do that, I wouldn't do that with that background. I would do it with a plain background. But I challenged myself. I took the shot and then ended up doing something like this. And again, how does that come into my head all the time? And again, I'll share that information with you in a couple minutes. Here's another one, looking at the orb, screaming at the orb. And again, in my mind, I had something like this that I created. So this is some quick before and after. And what was interesting for me was I was not there to shoot the models. I was there to do some behind the scenes type of shoots and do a little video for the group, which I did do. But I just jumped in and did a handful of shots for myself and got creative with that. So let's talk about, what are some techniques? How can I create a little bit more imagination and creativity based on what I have right now? So I'm just going to recommend this. Number one, you can actually do a lot of reading of fantasy and say sci-fi type short stories. Even there's a lot on YouTube, some short videos that just has to do with say sci-fi and some really wacky, weird stuff, which is fine because that's what you want to stimulate your mind with and be confronted with all the time. And then I highly recommend that you actually do a search for artists out there that you might like to study. Like one that comes to my top of my head is Salvador Dali, very surrealistic type work that he did. I would do a search for surrealism out there and see what you can find and start looking at stuff. Now, here's a couple of people that I really admired. I've been following them for years. I studied with them, actually went to live workshops with them. And one is Renee Robin. She's from Canada. If you take a look at some of her work, this is off her website. They have the images scrolling. But there's actually a section in there where she'll actually share some of her befores and afters in producing this artwork. So if I go over here, you can see the very top right there. That's the before. This is what she created here at the very bottom, which I thought was pretty cool. Let's take a look at some other ones. There's a person or subject on a cliff, and then this is the end result. This is, again, some befores and after. How is she shooting in a studio? Look at the light setup right there. And this is what she produced on the far right. So she has an idea in her mind, maybe a background that she's shooting for, that she's going to do a composite. Let's take a look at this. Pretty cool. So again, studying things like this, admiring work of others, really helps stimulate the mind and get your creativity and imagination going. I always recommend that you have one of these things. This is a high-tech stuff. It's called a notepad. I have one at the side of my bed on my dresser because a lot of times in the middle of the night, I'll wake up with an idea and I got to jot it down. And two things I need to have with me. One is the notepad and paper. No high-tech stuff. This, I could throw on the ground, step on it, it won't break. Same thing with this. This is called a pen. It writes. I could throw it on the ground, step on it. It still works. I don't have to worry about charging stuff up and booting something up to write something down. I need to do it quick and easy and fast. So I always have a notepad with me. I jot down ideas all the time. Another person to take a look at here is Brooke Shaden. Let me jump over to her website and, go look at her stuff. I'm not saying you're going to like her stuff. I mean, that's, pretty subjective, but if you take a look at her work, it's a little bit on the dark side, but very creative on what she produces. A lot of imagination right here. Unbelievable artwork. And she is in, I think, 3 or if not 4 different art galleries. I think one is in Canada or Nova Scotia, if I'm not mistaken, and a couple in the United States. But, scan through and look at her stuff. Take screen captures. Build a folder with images that attract you and dump them in there. Don't overanalyze it. Don't say, why am I attracted to this image? Just capture it, do a snapshot. All your operating systems out there have a utility program to take a screen capture, throw it in the folder, and then when you have time, go through those images, look at them one at a time, and ask yourself, why did I choose that image? What inspired me to capture that image? And as you start exposing yourself to all these different concepts and ideas that other people are doing, it inspires your brain to work a little bit differently and get a little bit more creative and have a little bit more imagination. That's all you have to do. Just keep doing that repetitively. Study, expose yourself to this, and you will find you start thinking in a different way. And if you ever see me shoot at a live shoot, you'll notice that I hardly shoot anything in a studio. When there's a class going on a certain theme or subject, I'm in the background. I'm not there to shoot. I'm there to assist MPW with that photo shoot. But once in a while, I'll just jump in, take 2-3 shots, and I jump to the side, and that's it. Reason is, in my mind, I'm picturing something I can do creative with Photoshop with that particular image I'm shooting at. Does that work all the time? Absolutely not. I don't care if it does or not. I'm always pushing myself. And the goal is to get at least one image that I can actually showcase out of that shoot. So hopefully that'll help you. And until next time, you know the chant. If you could do me a favor, and that is like, subscribe to this channel, and hit that notification bell. And I will see you in the next video. See ya!